my friends, remember when we made the handkerchief envelopes? And I took a handkerchief and I cut it in 4, and then I, folded it and sewed it and all that good stuff. So I wasn't following a pattern per se, I was just cutting and folding. Well then, which worked great, so you can do that method. I mean, whatever, that's perfectly fine. But I thought if you have an envelope and you like the shape or size of an actual envelope and you want to mirror yours after that, you can do that. And I saw Pam at the Paper Outpost, she did one using a paper envelope as her template. So I thought, since you guys had seen my video, that we might want to try that also. So I have 2 different sizes here, and I think we're going to try both. Now, my envelope is coming apart, though not perfectly, and honestly, I could take the time and put it over some steam, and that would make the glue come undone, but I just kind of want to get the show on the road, and I just want to open it. So I've got it here. I will take and trim this right here so that it's, better. And actually, let me get my scissors. And actually, guys, I might have tracing paper in my stash. And so that could be a little cheat to literally use the tracing paper. Otherwise, we can figure out another way to transfer the shape. I guess we could just, I don't know. You know what? I watched Pam at the Paper Outpost. I watched her tutorial, and I can't remember if she just traced it out and kind of marked it with pencil or what. All right, friends, I got these opened up so we can see that. And I pulled some dinner napkins, actually. These are quite large for dinner napkins. These are vintage, and I don't think I've ever seen dinner napkins this large. I mean, they're really big. So I should be able to get several envelopes out of them. Yes, I think I can. Yeah, I'll be able to get like 4 or 5 out of one of these easily. So let's go ahead, let's experiment, right? And decide how we think is best to transfer the shape. I think on this one, let's try pencil. Alright guys, I can see the outline. I think you can too. Let's go ahead and cut that out. Now we're going to cut out those corner pieces. Hopefully I traced this out properly. This little corner piece looked a little different. But once we fold it, we'll know, right? Okay, now let's see which one. I don't think it was this one. I think it was this one. Let's see. I think it goes like this. Yep, that is the one. Yep. Okay, so if that's the one, then I can see that this is the top because it's got the glue. Okay, so let's check this out. Then I think what we do, we do the sides first. So they would go here like this. And you can take this to your sewing machine. I'm sorry, you can take this to your iron and you can iron these down and it makes them nice and crisp and stay into place. Then we lift up our bottom and our bottom goes over the top a little bit. And we can see that there. And this is where we would glue the edges. And then, but we're just walking through it first before we do anything. And then here's the top. So if I do this, the sides are in, the bottom's up, and then there's that. And there they are. So I like that. That was pretty quick and easy. Now I want to round this a little bit more just because I didn't do the best job rounding it the first time. There we go. That looks a little bit nicer now. All right, so you know what? Before I decorate them, guys, how easy was that? Before I decorate them, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a few more. All right, friends, I got 4 of them cut, 2 of each size. Now I wanna get them kind of directionally straight. So this one, that's gonna be the top. All right, so we got that. So I'm gonna keep it facing in that direction. Now this is one of the bigger ones. Let me get the other small one. I did 2 small and 2 large. I think that's a large one. Let me see. Let me move this one up out of the way. It's possible that this is another big one. Let me see. Oh, it must be. Okay, guys. Well, that solves the mystery anyway. So we've got 3 big ones and 1 of the small ones. So you know what I thought I would do is I'm going to lay, I have a few more of these. So I'm just gonna lay them down to protect my surface. And we're gonna go ahead and iron these into shape. So we're gonna do the sides first. Let's go ahead and iron that into place. I need to get a new iron. This thing, let me just tell you, we've had it for a really long time, and it's sometimes, like, if you try to use the thing where you squirt the water out, it'll spit at you. But you know, I live in Florida and we get a lot of lime in our water, so I think there's probably lime deposits in there. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. I hope I'm doing this right. Well, we're gonna find out, right? I can always re-iron it if I don't get the creases right. It's not that big of a deal. All right, and now the bottom comes up. Okay, so I think this should come in a little further, like that. I need to pull it a little closer to me so I can see it. I don't want it to be off camera, but I do want to be able to see it. All right, let's try that here. See if that's gonna do it. It's funny, I'm looking how I cut it and it was like straight here but pointed here, but it's the same on the paper. Can you see it? It's like cut off here but pointed here. So I followed the paper. All right, now let's put it together at the bottom. When I did my other ones, I had a little bit more of a fold over, I feel like. But I did those, you know, by hand. I just cut squares and then I just did them by hand. So, you know, that's why it's a little bit different, I think. And of course the shape was different. Remember, I cut those in perfect squares, and you know, that's how that turned out. All right, so this is gonna be the top flap. So I'm ironing it so that when I go to glue it, it's kind of not flopping around, you know. And the white ones that I made, I loved them, and I didn't iron them. And they think about how crisp they would have looked if I had ironed them. I think I loved them. I mean, I'm not complaining about them, but they probably would have looked just a little bit more crisp, I'm thinking. But I still love them. All right, so this one I actually, even though this is the big envelope, I actually like the shape of the envelope better, and I think it's gonna come together as an envelope better. So this color I'm working with is kind of interesting. It's like it wants to be pink, but it's not pink. So I find it to be interesting. It's kind of a neutral. So when I'm thinking about decorating these, because I was thinking about how do we want to decorate them. And so I think, you know, since they're not a true pink, they're kind of this, I don't even know what we'd call this color, honestly. They're between a neutral and a pink. So I think what we'll do is we'll decorate these in kind of an antique look. You know, the other ones we did like super feminine, real pretty with the flowers, and not that we can't use flowers, but I was thinking about going with a little bit more of a vintage look. So while I'm ironing these, I'll be thinking about that, and then we'll go through my stash and we'll pull out some things that we think might work nicely. Here we go. Yeah, so if you guys want to make some, grab an envelope. Well, you could cut a perfect square and then just fold it. Or you could grab an envelope that you like the size of and trace it out like I did and then fold it. You don't have to iron it. I'm just doing that because, well, because I didn't do it the first time and I kind of wanted to see if it made a difference, honestly. So there we go. Now we're still gonna have to glue it. So I'll go ahead and finish ironing these and I'll come back when we're ready to glue. So friends, I was thinking and I decided I wouldn't mind trying to also make this kind of envelope. You know, it's just like a little slide in. I wasn't sure how easy it would to get it apart, So I put a little water on both of the edges. I was kind of letting it soak. And now I'm going to see if we can pull it apart. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Let me get my razor here. All right, so we've got that. Let me do the other side real quick. And now that opens up like that. Okay, so there's the shape of this one. I thought I would have enough scrap left over on this, but I don't. So let me grab another one. Let's try a different color. Okay, so let's use this. It's kind of lightweight. We'll just grab one of them. Do you like my collection of pink dinner napkins? We're going to be doing some fun stuff with this. So for the purposes of this video, we'll just do one of these. I mean, like I might do more off camera and then share them with you, but we'll just trace and cut out one. And the tracing, it seemed to work perfectly fine, you guys. Let me see if there's a side that's better than the other. No, that looks pretty good on both sides. So I'm just gonna trace it out again. So while I'm tracing, I'll just say, I hope everybody's doing great. I hope you're enjoying this. And if you want to experiment with making fabric envelopes, you can use any fabric. I just happen to have a ton of dinner napkins that were given to me because you know, my friends know that I like to use material for a bunch of different stuff. Whoops, I moved it a little bit. There we go. So at any rate, I have a bunch and I'm glad to have them, so why not use them? But you could use scrap fabric, you could use hankies, dinner napkins, tablecloths, yeah, whatever you want. And honestly, you know, you could do this to make paper envelopes too. I just feel like I want to experiment with fabric, you know. It's just got more texture and all that to it. So all right, let's see how we did. It looks great. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So guys, by the time you see this, chances are my 1500 subby giveaway video has gone out. So if you want to join in, then go check out that video. I'll try to remember to link it in my description box. Now a little piece like this we can save and use these to make snippets and clusters. So I wouldn't, I don't need to save a tiny piece, but a nice big piece like that can be used to embellish junk journals, cards, ephemera, all that good stuff. Right, so I'm thinking about this envelope, and we're definitely going to iron this one in place because this one has a different shape. All right, I wanted to grab that just to protect my countertop here. So let's fold this. Let me grab the original one. Here's the original. And all right, so I'm gonna flip this over like this. There we go. And we know that the sides are gonna go in first. Okay, so let me grab my iron. Okay, we got our handy dandy iron that I need to replace at some point in time, especially if I'm gonna be doing fabric crafts here and there. All right, so I'm just gonna fold this in. It's right about there. That looks good. Did you hear it? It sounded like it growled at me. That was so funny. So guys, I don't know when you're gonna see this video, but I have to tell you this morning, there was a mouse in my house, and we had our doors open the other day, and I think he came in. Well, it's an old story, but if any of you know Carl, my husband, he refurbishes old cars, okay? So we just brought home this old 1970 truck, and it was outside for a really long time, and there was evidence that a little creature was living in it. But we figured, by the time it got brought to our house and we took the seat out of the back and all that kind of stuff, we figured mostly probably the critters were gone, but they were not, my friends. And this little mouse ended up in my house. And so me and my daughter spent the morning capturing him, and then we walked down quite a ways from our house and let him go where this creek is down the way, and so he's safe and sound and at the creek. And we didn't put him in the creek, we just put him near it so that he could get water if he needed it, and put him in a little shady spot so that he could build a new home. So that was how my morning started. It was really not what I expected, but some days are like that. We don't always have days go the way we expect them, right? So I've been thinking about that little critter. Now my daughter has a pet mouse. It's a domesticated mouse. His name is Sid. He's so stinking cute. This mouse that came into the house today looked very different from a domesticated mouse. Okay, this is fantastic. So this is what I'm thinking, guys. Since this in fact is fabric, I don't know how good this part will stand up on its own. So I think what we'll do before we glue it, we'll go ahead and line the inside, but at least we have our creases. We know where the folds are gonna go, right? Okay friends, so I chose this. I think it's interesting. This was given to me by my friend Carol at Carol's Recrafted Boutique. So what we're gonna do is we are going to trace the outside, and then when I cut it, I'll cut it on the inside of the trace. I won't do it on the inside of the trace for the top, but for the sides so it will fit in there. And so that's what we're gonna do, and we are tracing it face side up because that's the way it's going to go in there. If I flip it and this has a little bit of a different shape, it won't work, right? So this is how we are going to do this. And actually, I want to keep this down firm. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all move this up so you can see it. Okay, I think I'm in frame here. And then I'm going to press the side down with my ruler. There we go. And that's just gonna give me a guide because you know the material is flexible and I don't want it to have a squiggly line. So I can see the mark because that's kind of like a foil and it kind of imprints on it. Now I'm going to do this side and just going to do the same thing. I'm drawing straight up there. Now when I go to do the top, make sure that didn't move. Luckily I was holding the other side. I'm trying not to move it. So I'm just going across here and now I'll just, I think that moved a little. Let me put it back in place. There we go. I think that's in place. So now I'll just kind of do the corner. I just want to make sure I'm doing the corner. Right. Okay. So I'm going to cut on the inside of those lines. And that's right. I'm not worried about the top. I'm going to do that once it's glued on because I'd like that to match up just perfect. All right, let's try this on for size. Let's see if it'll fit on. I might have to take a little bit more off. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take just a little bit more off. It's not too bad. And actually, let me get my straight cutter. I think I'm safe to take a little sliver off with this. Hopefully, that'll be good, but we will find out. Might have to do that again on the other side. We'll see. Oh, it's fitting. Okay, let's pull it up. Yep, that's great. Okay. So let's go ahead. Now guys, I'm trying out a new fabric glue only because it's what I could find. I love the Fabri-Tac. I love it. Or the 3-in-1. Love it. This is Aileens Fabric Fusion. It's more liquidy, it seems to me. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna put it on here, but then I'm gonna kind of move it around with my finger because it's real liquidy. And it might just be the fact that I'm learning, you know, it's new and different. I'm learning how to use it, or maybe my other stuff got, you know, how it's hanging around for a while and then it gets like thick. So maybe I was just used to it being more thick. I don't know, but this just seems really, really liquidy. So we're just gonna move that around with my finger because I don't want it seeping through the back of the envelope like too much. Okay, so that looks placed okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just push it down with my scissor. All right, so I think this is gonna be fine. Now we're gonna go ahead and glue this down. Is that right? Should I have done that? No, I probably shouldn't have, because when we put our stuff inside of our envelope, we want it to slide down. These glue to this, not to that. So let's open those up real quick. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll just wipe this glue off of here. All right, I grabbed a little piece of our scrap fabric and I'm just gonna wipe this, and then we're gonna let that dry completely. Right, and I think if we let it dry, we'll be okay, but we'll test it. If I have to cover it with another piece of paper, it's not a big deal. But let's just set that aside, let it dry. While that's drying, let's grab some ephemera that we're gonna use to decorate these. We totally went down a rabbit hole, right guys? Well, that's what happens with a lot of us artists, and certainly I am no exception. Should we glue them together first? No, because we might want to do some sewing on them, and we're gonna sew before we do any gluing. All right, let's go grab some ephemera. All right, friends, I have gathered a bunch of stuff. This feels dry and it feels fine, so we're gonna move forward when I'm ready, but I wanted to show you the things that I gathered so that we can decorate these envelopes. And while I was gathering them, I had another idea. but we'll get to that in just a second. So I gathered some ephemera, as you can see. So I want some of these to have an old vintage look, if you will. So I've got a pile of that. Here's one of the envelopes. Okay, I grabbed this because I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna line the inside of 2 of them. So that's what I grabbed this for. So we're gonna put that over there. I think we'll do one in a floral theme. So I grabbed some floral stuff. Let's set that one over there. That's gonna go with that. And then I am gonna make one for my friend Carol because I'm sending her a package. She's in the UK, Carol's Recrafted Boutique. She loves cats. So I'm gonna line one of them with this, and I think that'll be like a nice little surprise when she opens it up. It'll have that. It's gonna have some flowers on the outside, but I think we'll do these kitties on the inside, and I think that'll be super cute. So that's what we're gonna do with that one. And then we're gonna have 2 of them that are old vintage looking. So I just grabbed a pile of vintage looking goodies for those. So let's start by lining, let's see, we're gonna line 3 of them actually. We're gonna line one with this, and we are going to line 2 with this. So I think let's cut that down to size. It's almost where it needs to be. It just needs to be a little bit smaller. All right, so we just need to take a couple of centimeters off of this one. Oh yeah, and I guess I need to pay attention and make sure that the 2 envelopes I'm lining with this are the same size. So let's, yeah, that looks like the same cutout. So those are the 2 that we'll use for this. Let's see if I did a good job there. Needs to have a little more taken off, so I will do that on this side. Yeah, that'll work. So then I'm hoping that if I cut it in half, it's enough to cover this and this, and I think so. Let's press it here just real quick to see where the halfway point is. All right, if that's the halfway point, we have to go all the way up here. Yep, that's gonna be perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and cut that. I think that's gonna work. Let's go ahead and cut it. That should work. Everything that's visible will be covered. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna set those there for that, and while we're in the cutting mood, we're gonna go ahead and prep this one. And it looks like we're gonna take about a 1/2 inch off of this side. That is gonna work, so we're gonna line that. So I was thinking, guys, that I might go ahead, since I haven't glued these, I can open them up and I can sew the paper in, and I thought then it would kind of give a neat look on the outside. So let's do it. Let's give it a shot, see how that ends up looking, okay? All right, there's that. And actually, while I'm at it, I was thinking I was gonna do this one on the inside here. And, oh, but I can't, because look, it will not cover from the top of that all the way to here. So I'll use that for decorating. Maybe I'm not lining this one at all. Okay, so we're not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and sew these. Friends, something I wanted to tell you that I've been doing lately is I've been using a little bit of glue stick to adhere the paper, oops, the paper to the fabric prior to sewing it, just to hold it into place. That's the only reason. And it seems to work quite well, and it takes minimal amount of time, and that way I'm not trying to pin you can't pin your paper to anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick to this. I don't gob it on. I don't want my needle to be affected by it or anything like that. I just want there to be enough just to hold the paper in place. All right, so hopefully that'll hold. Vellum, I don't know, doesn't hold as easy to a lot of things, but all I gotta do is have it kind of hold into place while I sew it. We're gonna try something new. You can see I have my sewing machine set up here in my craft room. I love being able to access it anytime I want. I always have it out now, which is really just great. Might be a little bit of a, might be a little bit of an awkward angle for the camera, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and sew these. We've got them glued into place, and I think so that I can see the edge, I'll sew on the outside. Oh, also I wanted to tell you guys that I only change my thread about twice a year, or when I run out, and that is because I'm not going to get into the habit of changing my thread for every project. So I will typically have a spring color on, and then in the fall I'll put a fall color on, which usually always matches with the holiday time. And that's it, really. It's spring and holiday time in the winter, so that's just me. That's what I do, so. I'm going all the way around the envelope, even though the paper only goes to about here, but it's just going to look better for me to do that. And that should do it. So friends, I just wanted to show you that. And then I've lost my scissors. Oh, here they are. And I will go ahead off camera and I will do the other ones. And then we will, well, you know what? Yeah, then we'll set the camera back up regular and we'll go ahead and trim these corners off. All right, friends, now we are just going to cut the tops off here so that everything lines up. And then, actually, let me do just that one so that I can show you a little sneak peek of then when we glue it together. Look, isn't that gonna look nice when you open the envelope? And we can just do that. There we go. So here it is, undecorated, of course. Then you open it up, look how lovely that is. So fun. We are leveling up here, guys. Okay, I'm gonna cut the other ones and then I'll get right back with you. And actually, friends, I'm gonna trim the top and then I'm gonna go ahead and glue them. I'm gonna do that like one at a time, like trim the top, glue, so that the glue can dry and then they'll all be done at once. So I'm taking, this happened to be here on my desk. It used to have some stuff in it, some ephemera, but I'm gonna use that to protect the envelope, you know, the material from sticking to each other in the wrong place. All right, so there we go. And then I can just pull this out, but then the fabric will not stick to the back piece. So that's the reason I'm doing that. I'm trying to go really thin with this fabric stuff here, because if we can help it, I'd like to not see a line come through. And this fabric's pretty thick, so hopefully we won't, but I would just really prefer that. All right, one is done. All right, I'm gonna do the rest and then I'll show you when I'm done. Let the decorating begin. I left the plastic bag in there to protect it while I use the fabric glue. So last time I made the fabric envelopes, it was my first time. So this is the second time. And so I'm leveling up a little bit by going in with a little bit more embellishing. On the first set, I did to and from on the back, but that's all I did. On the front, I decorated it. Fair enough, I did on the front. But this time we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna also decorate the back. I'm gonna use a piece of this red fabric here. So I don't think it's gonna tear, but I'm gonna try because you guys know how I like it torn. Well, okay, it did tear. Well, that's nice. So let me see how much. I'm gonna use this, so I just wanna make sure Oh, that's perfect. So if I tear like right here, actually this I could actually cut. I don't have to tear this part because you're not going to really see it anyway. So if I do that, if I plan to do that, then it needs to be glued right about here. Kind of covers all the fabric. Let me see. Yeah, maybe like that. I don't want the fabric to be covered, but I don't want him to look quite so lonely. So if I maybe tilt him like that, maybe. I think that works. All right, let's do that. Hopefully I'll get that back in the right place. Got this picture from my friend Marie at Hope Vintage Sales. And sometimes I buy things from her, but we are also pen pals, so she might have pen paled that to me. I don't know. I can't remember. All right, that handles the back, I think. I think that's pretty cute. Now, I do feel that I'm going to need to add some clothespins to hold everything down while it dries. You guys, I got this when I bought some oranges at the health food store, and I knew that I wanted to keep it because look how great it is. So I was thinking, here's the back, right? So I was thinking that I could do this on the front right here. What do you think? I love it. It kind of really wouldn't need anything else except for right on the flap. But I think that's pretty good. I could save it for another one on the back, but I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to do it. I feel compelled to do it. And actually, what would happen if, I don't think I would like it, but what would happen if we folded these around this way? No, we're not going to do that. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just cut them. So I'm going to measure where they need to be cut. Maybe I tear them, and it'll leave like a nice, you know, torn edge. I feel like that is better in this case. Otherwise, I'm trying to make a perfect edge, and I just, you know, that's just too hard and it's too stressful, and we're not going to do that. So we tear it, and then we do this. Right, and then that's real good. That's perfect. Oops, geez, destroying my my ink pad. All right, yeah, that's good. So let's get that glued on. All right, so now let's say that's in place. And how do we want to decorate the rest? Can't really do that, it's too big. I thought maybe, let's try this one. She's a little shorter. We could have her here. That's pretty cute. All right, so let's try that. I think I like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna use this so I can press down firmly. There we go. Let's see how that worked out. She looks good. Okay. We could use this up. Oh, you know what? That's not bad. Let's tear it so it'll fit. Right. All right, my friends, it's starting to get dark, and I just finished up 4 of these envelopes. Let me start with the back. Here's the back of this one. So we've got flowers. I used some images from Dreaming Hearts Company. They're gorgeous. So that's the background pieces, and then I have a couple of flowers, and then this butterfly, and we have this dangle here, which is a heart with a flower in it. Then when you open the envelope, there's a saying in here, and it says, "Let there be many windows in your soul, that all the glories of the universe may beautify it." Ralph Waldo Trine. And some more from Dreaming Hearts Company, a butterfly, and this says Fleur de Vermont. I think that is a Tim Holtz. And then when you close it, you have a big flower on it. So that's the first one. This one has more of a vintage feel. Let me start with the back. So here is the back. We have a Tim Holtz lady, a flower that was gifted to me. This is a nice piece of chipboard. This is a card that I had soaked and separated the top to make it thinner. I was gonna do some other stuff with it, but it worked perfect on here. And then when we flip it over, this is what it looks like. And we've got a little charm here with a young lady and a young man, and some Tim Holtz stuff and a little stitching. And then when you open it up, we have what looks like the map. Oh, I had this in here just to, those are my coffee dyed index cards, just to keep while the glue was drying, and it's plenty dry now. I didn't want the pages, or I didn't want the fabric to stick to, you know, each other, or, you know, whatever. So that is this one. This is my little vintage looking one. Trying to get my ball pin to behave. There we go. So there's that one. Then we have another vintage one. So this one's so cute. Let me start with the back. So here's the back. This is, you guys watched me do this, and so I basically just finished it off camera. So when we flip it over, we added her and this and this and a bulb pin with a little heart. When you open it up, it's another piece of the vintage looking vellum paper. So on the back, we've got a piece of chipboard and then a variety of flowers and a little kitty cat. I made this one for my friend Carol. And then when we flip it over, we have another little kitty cat with a flower hat. We have some flowers over here, some lace and chipboard here. We have a nice little dangle here. Actually, this was given to me by my friend Pam at Pamela's Creations, and I hung that with a bulb pin. We have a flower here that I attached, and then inside, whoops, another piece that I used to keep the glue from drying. So inside we have some more kitty cat paper, so it's a nice little surprise. So I'm gonna be sending that to my friend Carol at Carol's Recrafted Boutique. All right, friends, this one is not totally dry, but it's almost dry. Sorry, it's a little shadowy. It's dark outside now, but I wanted to go ahead and finish this video before I wrap things up for the night. So let me pull, like I said, it's not completely dry, but it's dry enough for me to show it to you. Now, what we've got, remember this is the one that I used this to make it. And I don't love it. Oops, I don't love it, but I like it. I think it's cute. The one problem I'm having is the Fabric Fusion by Aileens. I absolutely love their tacky glue, but this is too wet. To use on heavy material would be fine. Jeans, heavy stuff, but lightweight stuff like this, it bleeds through. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So when we flip this over on the back, you guys know my pretty blue and white lace that I have, and look how it seeped through there. And I've been very cautious using it very thin, and still it seeps through, and then it takes forever and a day to dry. And so the Fabri-Tac is much better. Also the 3-in-1 is much better. So I will use this for heavier stuff, or when I can just set something aside and it can take 20 minutes to dry, but that's not the kind of crafter I am. I'm not a slow crafter. I'm a detailed crafter, but I'm not necessarily a slow crafter. And I tend to not have patience for that. But anyway, I do think it's very pretty, and so I just wanted to show it to you. And I wanted to thank you all for being here and spending time with me. So as always, thanks for watching. See you soon.